the 14th of June 2023, Tara Mines to close. Temporarily is what they say. It was announced last night Tara Mines is to close. They'll keep a skeleton staff. There are 650 jobs there. It's a big mine deep underground in Navan, County Meath, and it produces zinc and lead. Now the price of zinc at the moment is $2,382 per tonne. Now we just show you the way zinc has been going, and it hasn't been going well. It's funny enough, there must be a good lot of supply of it, because you see there now that price there of that I gave you is it says 2252, so it's below 2252, and it actually dropped very low in early June. It's rising a little bit at the moment. Okay, so that's the curve. This side of it here is the current side. This is it here, right? So this is what it was. You see the highs it was back in July. I know you can't see it. So we're talking about July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. Do you understand? That's about a year's thing. Now they also produce some lead, and likewise the price of lead. Copper is the real expensive thing at the moment. The price of lead is slightly better. There, it's there. See it there. That's over the year as well. It took a dip, as you can see, and it's currently at about $2,100 per metric ton. Okay, so there's not much joy from the point of view of the supply from Tara Mines, which apparently produces mostly zinc, which is used in many applications. But there are a good few mines of zinc, and indeed in Australia, so they have to compete. But yet the sister factory, the right name of them is Boliden now, is in Sweden, and it's not closing. Now Sweden has a lot of hydroelectricity, and it has cheaper electricity prices. But there are three things cited. I've dealt with one now. The price of zinc is not that good, and possibly not likely to improve, and maybe a recession or depression coming, it might not improve much. But still, they're getting 2,200 a ton when it's processed. They wouldn't be getting that like for it raw. It'd be quite a lot less than that. I don't know how much, perhaps maybe about 1,000 a ton. I'm only guessing there. But the thing about it is that right, there is the low price of zinc that can rise up and down. They've got going for the last few years. They kept going. And the next thing then is that they quote is inflation. Their costs are going up. Now I can tell you from my inputs on my farm, on my machinery and things I buy for repair of buildings and everything, that prices are gone up. Basic prices are gone up. So that's a fact. Anyone can see that. So inflation has gone up, but the price of the zinc is not gone up. It's not gone up. They are putting in their inputs, which are rising, and that probably includes wages, because staff would need an increased cost of living increase, and they have to pay this, and so the price of zinc is not going up. And I think they'll be making more or less a loss for the last few months, maybe a few weeks anyway. Now, however, the elephant in the room then is energy. Remember, the sister plant is not closing in Sweden, and there's zinc being produced in other parts of the world. But Ireland has the highest electricity prices in the EU. Now, of course, there's Hubha, Peadar Tóibín, he's into TD, he's a TD in Meath, was on about it, and I have made sure. People often wondered why I was going to politicians to tell them in my forecast on energy. And don't forget, I was forecasting the high energy prices 10 years ago, and that our ridiculous energy policy based on windmills and solar farms is mad. It's totally and utterly mad, because there's no power a lot of the time. So the thing about it is, when you increase the capacity, you have to make sure they pay. And the windmills are not paying. They're not paying their way. And what's happening is there's big companies usually selling gas or electricity or toll roads or something, and they're bailing them out as part of the what they call the equity or the good appearance of their companies. None of them are making money. but it's organised in such a way that they can load it onto electricity bill, not through paying for the windmills, but by bailing out the company, by getting the auditors to write that the company is solvent because the parent company will bail it out. It is an actual NAMA for windmills, but it still goes on your electricity bill and you still have to pay it. And so do these companies. Now, I've met most of the TDs. I met Damien English, and he agreed with me above in his office in Navan that it's a scam. I normally don't talk about this, but he agreed it's a swindle. He knows damn well. We know all about him from the pylons and all that. We saw the pylon groups and me talking about the proper assessment under the SCA directive and North-South Interconnector Group. Pylon pressure group. I went up to their meeting in Navan and I went out for a drink. I wasn't partaking in it at all. I was just there because someone else brought me up, and they came down and ran me out of the place. The head man there, Pádraig Riley, told me get out. This is the thing. When they could have been checking and forcing the government to do the proper assessments, including the cost effectiveness. Now, just remember, when you hear all these TDs and politicians crying, they were all told by me, most of them were told by me, or their party people were told by me, how this is paid for. I have a video back there in 2010 where I show that as the fossil fuel price of electricity changes, so does the wind change. They get the fossil fuel price if it goes above their guaranteed price. And I've recently posted, and it says there's a bill before the Dáil on it, that if you have three sources of power for fossil fuel, and one of them, we'll say coal, becomes very expensive, the wind energy has to get the coal price. Now, who agreed to that? Why did they link the price of wind energy to the price of renewable energy? Corruption, that's why. And these Greens and all that above in Dublin 4 don't give a hoot about the people working in Tara Mines. Their goal is to shut down everything. Net zero. Bring us to no more emissions. What we do then, I don't know. That's their goal. And the parties are going along with that. So some of the people who are losing their jobs, not them all, I know some of them aren't, went out and voted and supported Damien English, Thomas Byrne, Darren O'Rourke, your man McGurk there, another TD there, I think. You know? And I met most of these. I didn't meet McGurk because he was always roaring IRA long ago. And the thing about it is, I just didn't think there was any point, and I knew there was no point. The thing about it is, they knew about this, and they were told by me. I told them personally that this is going to cause mayhem. Now, the North-South Interconnector, it's for 600 megawatts of wind energy in Donegal. That's on the documentation. Now, the thing is, they're going to build 5,000 or 6,000 megawatts offshore. And all of that has to be paid for out of the bills of your bill and my bill and of the likes of Tara Mines, Culloden, Tara Mines. It has to be paid for. And it can't go on. This input of electricity is the same for everybody. There was a lad took over a restaurant in Kingscourt, and he only stayed a couple of months, and he went off and he left a bill that's supposed to be 30,000. Well, some woman down the country, a single woman, got a bill of 1,000. The thing is absolutely mad. But anyway, I will say this to the people who lose their jobs. Some of them are the very best. I know some of them are friends of mine. But a lot of them are going to go out in the next election and they're going to vote Damien English. I'll vote for my man Damien English. And him after doing it. Sinn Féin, oh, be Jesus, we'll get her united today. And Fianna Fáil, I'm a great old Fianna Fáil, man. Yes, Thomas Burton, where he did. Oh, I know the vote for him, you know. My great grandfather got a bit of land in the Land Commission. And we got free beef in 1930. They're going to do it again, even though they put them out of a job. It's sad, it really is sad. This could be only the start of all of this. I mean, even Ireland has a certain amount of manufacturing and things like that. And note again, the Swedish company did not close. Why did it not close? Its electricity bills are lower. Remember, you have to be in business prepared for shocks. And mining industry, you have to have difference in prices. This time next year, it could be going flying. It could be great. It's like my farm. Prices are fairly good at the moment. Government subsidies are only level, or maybe reasonable. But I have to realise that for several years there was nearly nothing to be made. I was making nearly nothing because prices in the market were poor. We went in with our cattle, we weren't getting a good price. It's the same with mining. So you keep your costs down. You do not buy big fancy farm machinery. I go out and I repair my own, and it's not an easy job to do. And I do all this prayer and I get my hands dirty, and I can keep the thing going in that way. And it's the same with the mining and the same with industry. You got to keep your electricity prices down, and that means you only pay for what you use. You only pay for the basic equipment of what you use and the basic electricity supply. There was supposed to be a deregulation, bring in many companies, and that would introduce competition. Well, it didn't do it. In fact, SSE Electricity will give you a voucher to buy our stuff in Dunnes Stores, our lingerie and knickers and drawers and our shaped trousers and all that. And that's it. And that's what you get. You're paying your electricity bill, and Dunnes Stores is giving you a reduction. I mean, this is the ridiculous nature of the promise. They said wind energy would bring down the cost of electricity and solar energy. How can it possibly do it? It's guaranteed to get the highest fossil fuel price. I told you so. They'll not listen to me. They'll listen to RTE. RTE will not tell you what I'm telling you. That's our Radio Television Sheridan. The papers won't tell you, and there'll be a wee bit of a hint. Oh, electricity prices are dear. What are we going to do? They're talking about a windfall tax. Father Tobin is on about a windfall tax. Why do we need a windfall tax if there was proper competition? Wouldn't the lowest price get your business? I'm with Bord Gas for the farm, and I'm with ESB over at the house. And I'm afraid to move from ESB for the house because the other crowd are so erratic. Now, the point about it is, the ESB was dumping oil into the River Liffey for 10 years. It was on the television. Nobody did anything. They have Derrybrien Wind Farm that won't take it down despite being fined by Europe. And so it's still going on. And they're determined to put windmills up in Meath and in the bogs of Midlands and everything else. All to be paid for out of the electricity bill, and that means the bills can only go in one direction, and that's up, up, up. You have to keep them. If you don't keep them, they'll go bust. None of them are able to make a profit, so they have to be propped up by the parent company, and therefore the parent company has to charge you more in your bill. So this thing about a windfall tax is very hard to organise. The fact of the matter is the government is forcing the electricity companies to take all this renewables. The first thing I would do is I would let the market float. Whoever's the lowest price gets it. And if your windmills aren't wanted, and if they can't make them economical, then that's their problem. Why is it our problem? People losing their jobs to prop up wind farms which are owned by BlackRock in America, Greencoat Renewables, a private Irish company, all pulling off your electricity bill. That's the crows coming home to roost, and it's only the beginning, I think. Maybe it'll open again. Certainly if the price goes up, it might, but it'll be a while. It'll take a while. They're keeping a skeleton staff there. I do sympathise with people who lost their jobs. Will you, for God's sake, make a commitment that you're not going to vote for the traditional parties? That's the cause of this. You're going to have to learn. Go back and check some of my videos if I got a demand, and make more to explain to you why this crazy policy is the killer of jobs. The killer of jobs. And if you support Thomas Byrne, Damien English, Darren O'Rourke, that fat fella McGurk, I think he's John McGurk, are in their surrounding counties. The crowd here: Brendan Smith, Heather Humphreys, Pauline Tully, Matt Carthy, and Niamh Smith. That's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get. They're increasing the carbon tax on the farmers now, and on our fuel and everything else. Is that not patently obvious to you guys? What is wrong with you? That you're being taken for a ride by a couple of city voters who have no input in any of this, all in big government jobs and safe and secure jobs up in Dublin 4, and are winding up that mad idiot Eamon Ryan and letting them off, and our crowd are taking it all lying down. Folks, that's all I can say. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but it's affecting 650 views. Every one of you guys should watch my video on that. You should tune in and watch it. And if I got enough support, I'll explain to you. Why does everything have to be explained after it happens? Could it not be explained before it happens? Colin McCarthy, the economist who helped to pull the government, the economy out of the recession of 2008, said there will be a NAMA for windmills. And they avoided doing that by doing it a different way. They have a stealth way of doing it, a secret way, by loading on the bills on the quiet. Okay, folks, enough said. It's up to you. Do what you wish. There's probably no hope of jobs in that area. Handy jobs, not handy, but very convenient jobs, and allowed people to do all the things they want and maybe have their bits of farms or whatever other interests and have their job as well. And I know several got good employment there for a long, long time. I know people who went into it years ago and are now retired out of it. So that's the situation. There's no stopping of taking zinc out of the ground or lead. It's still being brought out of the ground elsewhere. It's just not happening in Ireland because the Irish people are insisted on being run by Dublin 4. They insist on giving the government a blank cheque with their mad green policies. Good luck, and we'll see you back for something else.